I would go ahead and make a request to the permit to be holiday before.
Good morning. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Business Improvement District at 8:32 a.m. this morning. In consideration of others in the business conducted today, please silence your cell phones and any electronic devices and refrain from speaking unless recognized by the chair. Again, this is a public meeting for the community of Glendora. We appreciate and respect your presence here this morning. Madam Clerk, will you please conduct roll call?
Thank you, Chair. At this time, I would like to conduct an oral roll call and request that each member respond with present when their name is called. Board Member Jarvis.
Present.
Board Member Davis is not here. Board Member Snyder.
Here.
Vice Chair Klingler.
Here.
Chair Nolan.
Here.
Let the record show 4 members are present.
All right. And at this point, the Pledge of Allegiance. Matt, would you lead us in the pledge?
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pardon me. At this point, does anybody wish to reorder or add to the agenda?
I would like to request that the board consider reordering the agenda so that we can move the discussion on the holidays. Let's see. Move item number 7, holiday stroll budget, to the first item, just so that we can have the whatever the decision is on that item might influence our discussion on the event coordinator. So if we can move that one first.
Do we have any objection?
No objection.
None, so we will move item number 7 first. Thank you.
So that'll go
After public comment.
Okay. All right. At this point, we move on to public comment. The open public comment period. I now invite members of the public to address the Business Improvement District Advisory Board. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes, speaking once, both on and off agenda items. All questions should be directed through the presiding officer. This is your time to speak uninterrupted. If you are in attendance, please fill out a speaker card and submit it to the recording admin before the close of the public comment period. Once recognized, speakers should advance to the podium, state your name and subject matter you wish to discuss. If you are participating via Zoom, select the raise your hand icon in Zoom before the close of the public comment period. Once recognized, you will receive a request to unmute, state your name and the subject matter you wish to discuss. I invite those in attendance to speak. I have one card so far from Nita Uloa. If you'd like to come forward, please.
Good morning, Nita Uloa, Glendora Police Department. I did it right this time. Normally I start talking without saying who I am because I just figure everybody knows. But sidebar, thank you. You did the flowers yesterday for a funeral that I went to and they were beautiful. So I wanted to tell you that. Here for the Community Academy, starts September 13th. The importance of this, I decided on the way over, I wanted to rename it. Don't tell the chief, but I'm going to but I'm going to say that it's from 6 to 9 PM. And then afterwards, you can go to like Stubborn Mule or someplace. So we can call it Cops and Cocktails. Don't tell the chief I renamed it because it's actually called the Community Academy. So it's 8 weeks from 6 to 9 Wednesday nights. I'm going to encourage you, if you've already attended, to send members that work for you because it's open to Glendora residents, those that work in the city of Glendora or those that attend Citrus College. And we have a really nice mix of ages and where people are coming from as far as, I think I'm going to have 2 Citrus College people this year. So that's really cool. So age ranges, someone asked if there's a maximum age, there's not. There's a minimum age of 18, and that's the only difference. We do let 17-year-olds come in if they come in with their parent. So just to put that out there in case there's a senior out there that wants to come with mom or dad, that works for us too. Need the applications in really soon because we do a background check. So consider it because you'll learn a lot. We're bringing city entities in this time. So not only are we going to have the city manager, but the water department will be speaking. We will have somebody from building speaking, transportation, because that's really important to the community. And a lot of people don't know how to get around and all the cool things that are happening. So think about you, think about coming with friends, think about bringing your family, your neighbors, and anybody over the age of 18. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. Do we have any other requests to speak?
We actually have one on Zoom. So we're gonna send a request to the one that's labeled as top billing. If you can please unmute yourself.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Morning. Yes, we can hear you. You have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Hi. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you guys for showing up so early, at least for me. I am not camera ready, so I'm not going to undo my camera. Wanted to reiterate what was said at the meeting of all of the bid businesses a few months ago at this meeting as well, that for future events, if we could make sure we're representing the businesses that are here at that time. So if we have a lot of kid businesses, let's try to do kid events. If we have businesses that do clothing, let's do some fashion shows. Let's do events that are similar to the businesses that we have, or that would be obviously beneficial for the community and the community would want to attend. And if we can try to incorporate more food trucks and more restrooms at the events, those are the 2 things that I hear the most as a big kid of business down here. I bring a lot of children, the families, that's the feedback I get the most from the families, is they would like more food options and more bathrooms. So if we could incorporate those into future events. I'm excited, along with a bunch of the other businesses that I've talked to, about the changes that are coming down here and excited to see where the future takes us. The only other comment I would say is, again, let's maybe revisit Santa in the plaza and try to put him at a time or do some kind of event that is when the businesses are open, because he's classically been here when almost all the businesses are closed. And that might not, again, be beneficial to the businesses that are here. So moving forward, if we can do things that work within the confines of the businesses that are here rather than what we would want them to be doing, that would be amazing. And I'm excited to work with the new person that's coming. And that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have one more public comment card from Megan Kay. If you'd like to come up, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Megan Kay. I've never done this before. This is very exciting. I own and run MK Events and Decor. I've been a Glendora resident for the last 20 years, and I was able to successfully oversee, with the help of Matt and our entire team last year, the Wine Walk. My team and myself oversee about 75 special events and weddings per year. We've been based out of Glendora since 2019. I just recently put in some bids to be hopefully take on the role as the Wine Walk coordinator again this year, in addition to some additional roles with the events that we have in the village, and then hopefully establishing a more year-round role as a point of contact and liaison for bid members as a village correspondent. That can basically be a monthly role where myself and my team are checking in with all bid businesses during the month, keeping them abreast of all of the upcoming events, what's going to be expected of them, what needs to be happening. So they're in the loop. In addition to also kind of, in my experience with doing the wine walk, in addition to living here, and prior to even owning and running my own business, I worked on the Avenue since 2017 at various different businesses. So I've definitely had my fair share of listening and hearing different items that have been brought to our attention of what bid members are looking to see and the type of involvement that they want in the events that happen on the Avenue. So nonetheless, I would like to establish some sort of ongoing position that can be a point of contact and liaison for the businesses and the events, in addition to kind of hearing what you guys need on a more day-to-day regular basis, whether that be helping liaison monthly newsletters, potentially hiring, a photographer to come out maybe once a quarter, get some more I would say photos, videos, just more advertising and marketing for our businesses and having more of a direct relationship with somebody that we can further discuss what the bid members are looking for, in addition to things like Small Business Saturday. We're actually, our intentions are to reach out to each individual business and see what kind of deals are you running, what help do you need, what support can we give you to make sure that you do this. So anyway, but with the wine walk specifically, like I said, last year we were able to have our highest grossing year to date, which was wonderful, like I said, with a lot of help from Matt and our team members. But this year, like I said, last year we learned a lot of different items that we can improve upon for this year, that we'd be happy to implement, and hopefully that we can if we're chosen to be part of it again this year. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Do we have any others?
Anybody else on Zoom would like to speak? If you could please click on the raise hand icon. We have none.
At this point, we will close the public comment period. And I invite each board member to provide a statement or report if they have anything. You want to start, Dalil?
Yes, thank you. I was just approached by the Glendora School District. They are willing to do a yellow ribbon. And they were asking for authorization due to the lack of time to do it for these meeting and everything. I would like to ask if we can incorporate this for either the next meeting or for next year, so then we can have that as part of our discussions.
So I'm told that the city just lets the school district put the ribbons on the ficus trees,
So the.
and that it's not something the bid would have oversight over. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I don't-
just wanted to bring it up just because I was approached and
Yeah, I think it's this next week. They have them up for a week. It's for some sort of school event. I don't know what the purpose is, but they do it. They've been doing it every year apparently for the last several years.
It's for drug free for the Red Ribbon Week.
Okay. The yellow ribbons are
Yellow
for
ribbon. Oh, I'm sorry.
Red Ribbon Week.
I think it was for mental health.
Oh, was it? Separate, okay.
So something,
Yeah.
but
I just
they,
up, I mean, it was in the village and everything, and if we can support them and all that, that would be great, but thank you. Okay,
Thanks, Dalil.
that's it for me. Yeah.
Kathy?
We've concluded our Friday Night Twilight series. The attendance was on and off, depending on what Friday it was before a holiday weekend or whatever. It seemed to go over well. We might look at adjusting the times because not a lot of people are coming out between 6 and 7. We had more people showing up, in the later hours when we had the bands play later. So something to consider.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, so I yesterday got to appreciate the city of Glendora more than ever. We're opening a second location in San Marino, and I had to go before the design review committee, which I don't think exists here. Is that correct? Thank you for not having that exist.
Don't give them any ideas.
And they had a long discussion about the number of inches between the letters on my sign and how they were concerned about that. And then they spent an hour talking about someone's roof and the color of their shingles. And I was like, this is insanity. So I appreciate the sensibility and the common sense that the city of Glendora uses more than ever. And the fact that we don't have 3-hour meetings to talk about roof colors. So thank you guys. I'm happy to be here today, talking about things that matter.
And congratulations on your new location too.
Thank you, Matt. All right, I have nothing. So at this point, it appears that Joe's not here for the Chamber of Commerce, so we'll slide right.
You skipped the director and
I met with Joe too. I forgot about that. Forgot to say that.
you skipped the director, staff liaison and attorney statements.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can I make one
Invite
more?
Community Development Director Jeff Kugel and Housing Economic Development. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I forgot to say I had coffee with Joe. Is this time to talk about that?
Sure.
Sure. I had coffee with Joe. This was like 2 months ago now. And we talked about the chamber and the bid kind of aligning together, or the bid being housed under the chamber. And he seemed very open to that. That was an opportunity we wanted to explore. And he said they'd be happy to kind of take us in and if we wanted to depart from the city. So that is an avenue that is open.
Good. All right, anything else? All right, now at this point, I'd like to invite Community Development Director Jeff Kugel and Housing Economic Development Manager Valerie Velasquez to provide a statement.
Yeah, so I can't resist the opportunity to to say something about Matt's comments, because I hear a lot about, oh, it's so difficult to get a permit in Glendora. Why is the city so difficult? And you're like, whatever. And I think that everybody should count themselves lucky that they are in Glendora trying to get a permit here rather than other cities, because we do not have a design review committee. We do not count parking spaces every time a new business decides to come into a building. And I think that many cities, in an effort to try to preserve whatever they're trying to preserve, have these types of committees and processes that are doing the things that Matt asked. I mean, signs, for example, there are many cities, almost every city around us has a separate discretionary review process for every sign that comes in, whereas we go directly to building permits and just review them over the counter and don't spend a lot of time agonizing over what color or channel letters or things like that a lot of cities do. You know, if you want to do an accessory dwelling unit, a lot of cities purposely try to make it more difficult because, you know, their community doesn't want additional units on single family lots. Whereas we go directly to building permit, even with the SB9 units, which are additional units, we have a good solid process for that. But there are things that, you know, that are bigger that you have public hearings for, things like multifamily development, larger commercial developments, drive-throughs, alcohol permits, those have additional processes. But by and large, I would put us up against any city in terms of the amount of rigor that we put people through with respect to design. In fact, people often tell me that I don't care about design enough, which I don't think is as important as many people in my position do. I think there's things that are more important than building design and architecture, because quite frankly, I'm not an architect and nobody who works for the city is trained in design, and neither are anybody who works for any other city in my position unless they're an architect. Urban planners are not architects, they're urban planners. So anyway, that's my speech on behalf of our relatively easy process, and I hope people appreciate that.
Thank you. Good morning. So just a couple updates that I want to fill you in on. So if you recall at the last meeting, you guys did approve us coming forward with a report for a harvest festival or a Dia de los Muertos. After meeting with the Ronnie from the Mercantile and the soon to be open Bespoken Hat Place, we have decided that because she wants to do it right, there's not enough time, knowing that we'd have to come to now to have something in November. So we'll come back at a later time as it gets closer, possibly when we start talking about budget for next year. She didn't want to rush something. She wants to make sure if she puts an event forward, it's going to be done right. So we won't be discussing that. Alicia has been working with HDL on getting a report for you on the assessments. It's still a little bit more work than we thought to really figure out and narrow in what's happening. So she'll She's still working on that. We don't have that ready. We'll come back next month. And then just to follow up on Matt's conversation with Joe, who joined us. Welcome, Joe. Joe did let us know that he did actually take it to his board as well, who is also open to finding out what that means and how we can transition. From our understanding, the bid would never move completely away from the city. We'd still have some hands in on that. But as far as the day-to-day operation, we would like to see how we can transition that. So we have the city attorney finding out exactly what that means so that we can relay that to the chamber and they're aware of what the requirements will be. And then we start moving forward. So it will be a process, but we are continuing to look into that. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Valerie and Jeff. At this point, we'll call on Joe Cena, the president of the Chamber of Commerce, to provide a report.
Sorry, I was a little late here. Thank you, everybody. My name is Joe, President and CEO of the Glendora Chamber of Commerce, and thanks for allowing me to speak today. I'll keep my presentation short. As we all know, we had a flashback with the Kiwanis Club a few weeks ago, which I believe is about the biggest one we've ever had since the expansion south of Foothill. It was just a sea of people. We changed it up a bit where we didn't close all your parking lots around the from 1 o'clock on till 5 and all that, which I think people were happy about that because it didn't seem like the street emptied out as much as usual. Bless you. Crowds were huge. Didn't really hear a lot of complaints from any of the stores, so that was great. So I mean, if anybody has any comments or like any suggestions for the future, please let me know. But it seemed like people had a lot of fun. There weren't any real problems. So there's a few things, lighting and stuff, but no real issues. Let's see, next week from today, we have our next lunch net going to be at Mesa Bore down on Route 66 and Lone Hill. If you want to come, we'd love to have more village businesses there. We don't usually have a lot at our networking. So please join us if you want to meet other people around town. Then there's also a big 8-chamber joint mixer on the 20th at the Haynes Family Services in Laverne. This chamber is basically from Azusa to Claremont, up Upland, down Covina, Pomona, all around here. So there's usually a couple hundred people there. And Dan Madek at the Haynes Family Services puts on a great spread, food, drinks, prizes, all that kind of fun stuff. So it's on the 20th starting at 5 o'clock. Today we have our Legislative Action and Economic Development Committee meeting, which it's that time of year that all those bills, those 400 plus bills the state works on, gets ready to go to the governor for signature or veto, or they just go away till next year. So we're talking about a lot of that stuff. There's a lot of business related things going on, good and bad, unfortunately, that we've been following and trying to fight for you all. So with that, if anybody has any questions, that'll be my words for the morning.
Thank you. Congratulations on the flashback. It was a success.
Thank you.
We were there and we loved it. And so thank you. But it was really a success. So
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good. Okay.
Very good. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, at this point, we will move on to the consent calendar. Does anybody wish to comment on the minutes from the July 6th regular meeting? If not, I ask for a motion.
I make a motion to accept and file the minutes from last meeting.
I'll second the motion.
Perfect. I will conduct an oral roll call vote. Board Member Davis is absent. Board Member Jarvis. Oh,
Yes.
I will fix that. Sorry. Thank you for catching that. Board Member Snyder.
Aye.
Vice Chair Klingler.
Yes.
Chair Nolan.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Very good. Thank you. At this point, we will move on to the agenda items and we will start with the holiday stroll budget. And I invite Alicia Suniga to report and on this.
Good morning. Valerie reordered the agenda, so I am going first. Luckily, it's going to be pretty quick. And I did want to say happy birthday to Valerie. Her birthday is today. So thank you for being with us, Valerie, on your birthday. So just very quickly, I just wanted to discuss the holiday stroll and the budget. Let me see here. The holiday stroll is the first scheduled event of the two taking place on Friday, November 17th from 6 to 9 p.m. and it kicks off with the holiday tree lighting ceremony. Followed by that is a Santa in the Village event, which takes place on the Saturdays in December from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. with the first occurring on December 2nd. The reason we bring this up is because it seems that the expenditures for both events did go up slightly. In total, I believe it's going to be about $5,000, which we did get those quotes after the budget was adopted for the fiscal year 24 budget. The two items or the expenditure line items that we're looking at in particular are going to be the holiday carolers, which last year cost the bid about $700. This year it went up significantly to $1,050. Also, we're looking at the carriages, which went up by a little over $3,000. So basically bring this to you to consider that keeping these two line items is going to cause the bid to go over budget by about $5,000. And I'm sorry, there's also, what's also going to drive that cost up is the extra Saturday in December. So typically there are 3 Saturdays in December. Now we're looking at accommodating 4. So with the combination of those two things, it is going to drive up the cost, causing that line item to go over budget. So just something to consider and discuss. And at this time, staff does request that the board decide if they want to go ahead and pursue having 2 carriages for the event as well as the holiday carolers.
Having 2 carriages, clarify that.
Correct. So typically the event has 2 carriages at the holiday stroll, I believe, and the Saturdays as well. So
Last year, if I'm not mistaken, there were no carriages at the
We
stroll.
don't do the stroll anymore, but still just the
Saturdays.
Saturdays will put us over. Cost increased so much over the past few years that the increase in cost will put you over budget.
And do we normally have two carriages
Two-
on the
Two
Saturdays?
per night, yes,
But I think it's kind of necessary, isn't it, with the crowd of people that we get? Yeah.
correct.
Is there a way that we can charge the people for the carriages, like to help with the budget?
That's a discussion that you all can consider. It's never been done. People appreciate there's no charge for the amenities we provide. You certainly can, but then you also got to consider somebody's got to be out there to collect the money also. It could be the carriage person themselves if you just want to trust them. That's also a consideration. Or you can consider reducing the days. Maybe you just do it the last Saturday or the first and the last, or you can remove them. There's different things you can talk about. Or you also have extra funding available for a new event if you just want to utilize some of that funds to allow this to go over.
I believe in the past 2 sponsors have been a part in paying for the carriages. So if the bid wanted to get a little more aggressive in pursuing sponsorships, that's another option as well to offset the cost, but just something to discuss.
Do you know who worked on the sponsorships in the past?
Typically, it's the chair. I'm not too sure offhand who handled that last year.
I don't know if we got sponsors for Christmas, though. I don't recall, because that was pretty much just me. And I know I didn't get any sponsors for Holiday Stroll.
Okay. Comments?
Do we need to decide this today, or can we look into the possibilities of sponsorships versus charging and having a person like a chair for that event per se? So they would oversee like the.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Alicia just corrected me. Jana was the chair and she did solicit a couple sponsors for last year.
Does anybody have any comments? Go ahead, Dilla.
Yeah, do we have to decide today or?
So you don't, something to consider. We wanted to we do need to secure the dates because they do go fast with the carriages. They actually reached out to us in July to ask if we wanted to secure the dates, and we have not yet. So that was one of the considerations. We will be talking about event coordinators. You know, we can request that they solicit sponsorships. It may not be, you know, Jana was able to do it. I mean, we do have the carriages. You might be able to put a little sign on the carriages and the line that would say sponsored by, and whoever business does that. That might not, I don't know how difficult to sell is. Jana had connections, so was able to get that for us.
Question, do we keep track of how many people utilize the carriages? Because from what I recall last year, it didn't seem like there was like an hour towards the end of the evening where it was like, just, hey, the carriage rides are free, go on them, like, because there wasn't like enough people, I guess.
We don't, but that's also something you guys can discuss, listening to Christina Keener's comment. If you guys want to consider adjusting the time, that's also something to consider. If you decide to adjust the time when it's earlier and businesses are open.
I was just thinking maybe just one carriage instead of two. Just
all are options that you guys can direct the coordinator and staff to work towards.
Would that cut the carriage price in half if we had one carriage instead of two?
I believe they charge per carriage, yes.
My recollection is seeing quite a few people steadily in line. I don't know time wise.
at the beginning of the night, yeah.
I know we normally have murder mystery on those nights, and I'm standing out watching them, and they're coming through full. And I've seen the people lined up down there, and I think it's become quite a popular event. Something I don't think that we want to get rid of, you know, and we have the extra money. I'm kind of the opinion that maybe we should put it towards it and continue with it.
If people are using them, that seems like a good use of funds.
I think, and it brings people down to the village, and that's our goal here.
Great.
You want us to take a vote on it, or how do you want it?
Yeah, if you guys say continue as is, you maybe can we do the line item? Can we move money over? You guys can allow us to go over budget if we do.
Okay.
So we need a motion to continue the carriages. I'll make a motion to continue the carriages for.
It's not just the carriages. It's
So it would be
budget.
the motion would be to continue the holiday stroll budget and adding the additional horse carriages. Is that?
So
am I
keep it
understand
as
correctly?
is.
Is that correct?
It's also for the carriages, so we're increasing the budget across the line.
For the carolers and the carriages,
Correct.
just increasing the budget. We're not adding any
Perfect. So then,
extra time. Oh, we are, because there's an extra Saturday.
Correct.
increase.
But that increase in price includes that extra
Correct.
Saturday.
With the combination of those two things, it's going to increase the budget by $5,000 to have it
$5,000.
exactly the same as it's been in the past.
Okay, so it's approved the holiday stroll budget and increasing it as well, correct?
Does there need to be any discussion about the timing of it? As Kathy said, should we just leave it like it is, or should we move it up an hour so that, what do you think?
No, I'm fine leaving it where it is.
Okay.
I'll
Alright.
make the motion with everything that did you say?
You got it. Do we have a second?
Second.
That was Klinger. Okay. I'll now conduct an oral roll call vote. Board Member Jarvis,
Yes.
Board Member Snyder,
Aye.
Vice Chair Klingler,
Yes.
Chair Nolan.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
All right, very good. Moving on, consideration of a communications and events coordinator. I invite Housing Economic Development Manager Valerie Velasquez to report on this, please.
Thank you. So continuing along the discussion of events, we're going into event season with Halloween coming up next month in October. And just this is something that came out of originally the survey we conducted late last year, and then the workshop, and then again last meeting, the board went ahead and said, yes, let's move forward with soliciting proposals for an event coordinator. Then there was a little bit of discussion from Matt Davis with whether or not we can bring in a coordinator that can also assist staff until we transition over to the chamber with just helping things flow, making sure that communication was open and easygoing with the bid members. So we also threw in a line item for a communication coordinator. That is a separate line item, so the board can decide not to utilize that line item if you wish, but we'll go ahead and walk through it so that you understand what it is and you can take a look at the pricing as well.
Valerie, at this time, I'm gonna excuse myself.
Yes, okay. And Dalal has a, just to avoid any conflicts of interest, she's going to step out. Okay, next slide, please. So again, in the past, historically, most of the events have been organized by a chair or the businesses themselves. Since COVID and even a little bit prior, the opportunity or the ability to volunteer time had been somewhat declining, and staff has been playing a larger role. And so we would like to move forward with using an event coordinator for the events that are planned within the BID's annual report or annual plan. And so the events that we're looking at are Halloween Walk, Small Business Saturday, Holiday Stroll and Santa in the Village, Wine Walk, Chalk Walk Festival, and Friday Night Twilight. And again, the coordinators went ahead and line item these events. So you'll see a total amount, but let's just say, for instance, Chalk Walk, that hasn't occurred since pre-COVID. We'd like to bring it back, but for some reason or another, this last year we had the improvements. So the plaza was closed and there were some restrictions on that. So we withheld, but let's just say it occurs. We have a line item in there, and if it doesn't, then there's no charge for it. So the charges will only occur if the events actually happen. So these are the events that we and I should have said, there is the scope. I prepared the scope that went out to the 4 consultants with the list of the responsibilities and tasks that are associated with each of the events. Next slide. And then this is just something that we thought would be helpful, not only to staff, but to the bid itself as a whole, to try and improve the satisfaction and making sure that all the businesses were more in tune with what was going on with the bid. And so this is for the line item of a communication coordinator. We would want somebody to go out regularly, a few times a month, walking into every business, so that they have a face-to-face one-on-one with somebody that they can relay their feedback or share what's going on with their business, as well as ask any questions or bring information to the board itself and vice versa. And we would ask that this person also go out and visit with every business in the bid within the first 4 months. And in that, they would also be able to update the contact information we have, email addresses, make sure those are correct and what the best way to contact those people are. While they're out, they can take photos and share those with the marketing consultant to go ahead and include on social media. We'd ask that they create and distribute a monthly newsletter. They can go ahead and share who's new in the village. Maybe if somebody's left, hopefully not, but new people coming in, whatever events we have going on, make sure that they always are aware how to contact the marketing consultant, and just share information regularly. Again, I already mentioned just serving as an in-between person with the businesses, the bid board, and the staff. And then they would virtually attend the bid meetings to share whatever news that they're hearing out on the street with the board monthly. Next slide. So we prepared the proposal that listed and outlined the task for each of those items and submitted that to 4 coordinators, and we received 2 proposals in return. We received one from Megan Kay, who you heard spoke today. MK Events is her company. She's been an event coordinator since, I believe, since 2019, and does have some direct or a lot of direct experience working with the bid. She, as she mentioned, she was the coordinator for the wine walk, and she has worked with several businesses here in the village, including working alongside with Janice. So she worked on Halloween walk as well as some of the other events that Jana would work on. She currently has her own company with a team of 6 that she would bring forward to go ahead and assist with the execution of these events. And then we also have KCD Company and Events, and that's Katie Dye. She's also in the audience to speak or answer any questions. And she also has familiarity with the bid as well as their events. She has participated in volunteered assistance with the wine walk when she helped with check-in with, I believe, at Visiting Angels. And she's a newer company, but has access to bringing in a team to assist her on the day of events as well. Next slide. So this is the breakdown of the 2 proposals that you see, and you'll see, like I mentioned, every event as well as the communication coordinator is line itemed. So you'll see, as I mentioned, if you don't want to bring in the communication portion, you don't have to. I think it could be a very useful tool for the price that either one of them is charging. I think it could be very valuable. And then you'll see that you've got the 2 prices down there on total for each one of them. There is a variation. Again, you'll need to kind of determine how you want to weigh those out. Next slide, please. I'll just kind of let you know that we're asking you to review the proposals and select a coordinator. Both are here. You can hear from both of them and question both of them if you wish. They're line itemed. And again, I will say that GMC, that's the Glendora Municipal Code, does state there's flexibility. So you don't necessarily have to select the lowest. You can factor in the experience of both. And if you feel that one is more qualified or has more familiarity, you can go ahead and weigh that out, and you don't have to select the lowest one, but you're welcome to question both of them as well and make your decision. Next slide, please. So the bid is asked to review the scope of work and the proposals received, and then go ahead and select a communication event coordinator. And I can answer any questions for you at this time.
In our budget, did we plan for an event coordinator? I'm trying to remember back.
This would be out of the 50,000 that we pulled out to go ahead and work towards the items that the survey and the workshop came up with.
Okay.
So yes, we have the funds for
Okay.
this.
It's already built into the budget.
It's built in. We're not asking for any additional
Okay.
funding.
All right, very good.
Well, so just to be clear, it's built into the budget this time, but that 50,000 was an additional 50,000. Like, we don't have that every year.
We don't. We do have it for the next 2 years. So we have it for this year and next year.
Okay.
And I can also add that, as Megan stated, there was the additional revenue brought in from the wine walk. And, a lot of that had to do with our chair. Matt was very, savvy, but they worked together well. And so if you work together well with your coordinator and you're able to generate additional revenue, it may be able to be self-sustaining.
At this point, should we just go into questioning them
You
then?
can,
Or-
yes,
I mean, does anybody
that's
have
fine.
any
If
more
you have
questions
any.
for Valerie, or you want to have questions for the coordinators?
I mean, I think having a coordinator would easily pay for itself over the, each year. It seems like a slam dunk that we should have one. And then, I mean, I worked with Megan and was very impressed by how organized she was. And it was like, when she came on board, it was like we hit an accelerator with the wine walk. So I would highly recommend that we go that direction. Just because I know her, I don't know anything about the other candidate. Know her work ethic, know what it's like to work with her. And I think we'd be very satisfied with the level of work output for the cost difference. So those are my thoughts.
Can I ask Katie a question here? Your company, can you come up to the podium? How long has your company been in business and what type of events have you been running?
So officially, my company, as it stands as KCD & Co., is recent in creation, but myself has been working on and off on events for a long time. The reason I even began working in the city and know many of your faces, and you've seen my faces, that I've worked along the avenue as well my entire career. I began at APU, grew up in this city, and started with Visiting Angels with Lindsay Rofel, doing events like Wine Walk and participating in creating the Eventbrite and doing all of those things in the past, as well as participating as when the Ardent Group existed. I don't know if that's familiar at this point, but with the Arena and Lux and all of those team members of those business women that created events for Inspire and things for the YWCA. And I've also participated in times where I've worked with the Glendora Florist and working for the city of Lancaster, creating floral events and displays for an alliance that they were working with, like a city in Japan. So I've participated in different types of events, as well as participating in planning and coordinating events for private families and clients and friends of mine as well, for weddings, anniversaries, birthday parties, smaller scale, but also very community oriented in terms of using the space that we have.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else have any questions? Any comments? No. Okay. At this point, then we
You guys can discuss, or you can make a motion. One of you can make a motion, or you could just further discuss.
okay. Any comments, questions, or shall we just make a motion to move to take a vote? I think that's where we go.
I motion for us to take a vote. Is that the right motion?
I don't know.
Yes, but who would you like to select out of the two?
I would like to select Megan.
Do we have a second for that?
I'll second.
Okay, so let me do this real quick. So first, Klinger, Jarvis. Do a roll call vote for that for K. So board member Jarvis,
Yes.
board member Snyder's not here. So vice chair Klingler,
Yes.
chair Nolan.
Yes.
So the motion carries 3-0.
Thank you both for coming in today. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much for your time this morning. All right. New business and consideration of a recommendation to the city council to increase the number of outdoor events a business can host in the village. I invite Housing Economic Development Manager Valerie Velasquez to report on this.
Thank you. So we're going to move on to talking a little bit about the additional possibility of having additional events in the village. And next slide, please. So as we all know, the parklets were added as an opportunity to allow the restaurants to continue serving outside during COVID. But as an added perk, the parklets are now, well, they're now permanent, but as an added perk, they have increased the liveliness of the village. They're providing new opportunities for activities for the restaurants to utilize. And activity in the village, there's just a lot more synergy, which is benefiting not just the restaurants, but the downtown as a whole. And so we are finding that even not just the restaurants, but there have been other businesses in the village who are requesting more and more regular entertainment, whether that's live music or it could be something else as well. But right now, for the most part, it's been live entertainment. Next slide. So currently, as we stand, the GMC under 532 special outdoor display event that does allow for businesses to have entertainment outside. However, it's only limited to 3 days per year. And so that is the max. GMC 532 does have an application process where it's requiring a permit. They do have to have insurance. They have to submit the application to the city. It includes if they're going to have any, food items, any concessionaries, any live music. It's a application they have to submit. And when it comes into the city, it is routed through most of the departments to get their input and approval. As I mentioned, though, it's only limited to 3, and with the restaurants and the opportunity to have a more lively downtown, there is the desire to increase that to a regular reoccurring opportunity. Next slide. So what we are going to ask the board is to go ahead and approve a recommendation that we will take to the city council to amend GMC 532. And we're asking to increase the number of events that a business can have only within the bid to no more than 24 per year. So that would allow any business to go ahead and have at least 2 months, two events per month. It doesn't have to be, it could be, one every week in the summer months or something like that. However they want to schedule it, but it would be limited to 24 per year. There is an opportunity if somebody wanted to do it every weekend or all the time. In that situation, they could go and apply for a CUP, which is a much longer and difficult and expensive process. So we're trying to create something that makes it easy, but still it has to be limited so that everybody has an opportunity. So we're asking for the board's recommendation. And then if there are additional considerations that you think we should include when we approach council, now would be the time for you to let us know what that might be. Some additional considerations are, should that application, right now it doesn't, but should that application require signatures, at least from, maybe a couple that are across the street and a couple that are adjacent to the business. This way, at least people know when an event is going to be occurring instead of just occurring. So kind of making sure that there's no disapproval on that. Also, amplification, are you okay? Do you think they should be able to have amplification or should it just be without? And then also, do you think that there should be any day or time considerations or restrictions? So if it's during the week, does it have to be done earlier than during the weekend or anything like that? These are just ideas just to kind of get you to think, but anything that you think we should include, we can do that before we take it to the city council. Next slide. And that's it. So the recommendation today is we're asking the board to discuss and recommend to the Glendora City Council an amendment to the Glendora Municipal Code 532, special outdoor display events to increase the permitted number of events a business can host in the village from 3 to 24. And I'm available for questions.
So we're asking them to increase it to 24 events. But then if they're going to have an event, they still have to apply for something for each event, or is it just open to have 24 events?
They need to apply.
Each time they're going to have something.
Or if they have them pre-scheduled, they can do it that way too. So if you tell us, this is my schedule, I'm going to have it on October 1st, December 12th, January, whatever it is, you can list it all out in one permit. But if you're not aware and, month to month, you're making your calendar, you do need to reapply.
And are this for outdoor events?
Correct.
And is there a cost each time you apply for this?
There is a cost. Yes. I believe it's $100. I believe it's $100.
Okay. And so the city will be the one that'll monitor all of the applications on this.
Correct.
And will the city monitor if more than one neighboring business is applying for the same day event? And
that's the difficult part. And that's why I said perhaps we want to include getting signatures. So if you want to have one, and let's just say the Red Lounge across the street wants to have one, well, whoever kind of comes first would be the one, and you've got to get approval from them to some degree, because we don't really want to be checking everybody and getting in between the two. The other option you can consider is you can, if the BID board wants to have more influence or oversight, you can ask that they bring the event to you before they submit to the city.
I have a question for you, Don. So you have a restaurant downtown. Is it a negative for you guys when a business across the street has live music? Or is
Not
that
at all.
Not at all. Okay. Okay.
no, I mean, the one across the street from us has it all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And so,
The Red Lounge.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's why this is on here.
Okay,
But
I
mean,
figured.
Our customers enjoy the music
Cool.
that they have over there.
Okay.
The problem comes in, we've had it where two neighboring businesses did it on the
Playing
same
different
night. It became
music.
Battle of the Bands.
Oh, that's not fun.
No, that's right. I was asking
How neighboring? How close were they?
next door.
The Red Lounge and
And the jewelry store.
Oh.
So that's why if it might be then wise to go ahead and say you have to have signatures.
Yeah.
And maybe it's 2 to the left, 2 to the right, and 3 across the street.
Could we just,
Go ahead.
could we just say 1 per block? For a
So
given time
1
frame?
And you're considering 3 blocks,
I would, yeah. So
the way we do it. So up to Mita.
up to Mita to
Or 2 blocks.
2 blocks, I guess.
We could take a look.
Well,
It'd probably be rare that you're gonna have 2 at the same time, but you never know, I guess, you know.
I would think Valerie's suggestion that they come to us first would be a good one. That way we get to know the businesses too that we don't get to see very often. And we can write our own calendars out so that we know what's going on. Yeah, I mean, we are in the downtown. So
Do we want to be the police of it though, or do
not
we
the
want to let the
police,
city be the
just
police of it?
we're being made aware of it, you know, so that like if there are conflicts, we can,
Yeah.
you know, we can go talk to some of the businesses around them.
I mean,
too.
we can also, another way of doing it, because it does create a longer process, you know, you need to plan way out.
Yeah.
I think actually the way, what does the code say people are supposed to, is it 30 or 60 days?
It's actually 60 days,
The
but
code-
we accommodate.
We do, but the code
much
does say
earlier.
60 days in advance of the event, and then if you add a bid meeting into it, but that would be even longer. But what if we, just so the bid is aware of what's going on, you know, we provide maybe a monthly report if there are applications, you know, for events in the village, you know, for one of these, we let the bid know. You know, I think most of the events we let, you know, you're aware of them anyway, that are non-bid events, things like the flashback and trying to think of what else, you know, parades that happen.
Well, that's an actual event. That's not like a business vendor fair or something.
Well, there's still, I mean, in the case of the flashback, it's an outside group. It's the Chamber of Commerce and the Kiwanis Club. I think the Christmas parade is organized by a private nonprofit. I mean, they're all groups. So none of these are city events like the city's putting them on. They're all one group or another. In some cases, it's a business maybe. But, you know, and then the 24 event, I mean, we kind of, you know, that's just number was created sort of arbitrarily. It's mathematically, it's appealing because 2 times 12 is 24. So it seems like that's the only reason really. It could be 48 events or it could be 15 events, you know, so maybe you talk about that. I think the noticing isn't a bad idea. You know, we sort of stole that from another city. There aren't very many cities who have like little small outdoor events like this. Most of the cities we researched have, they're essentially set up to process things like parades and, you know, carnivals and things like that. But outdoor little, like just having music or entertainment, not usually, but the one city we found who does have the noticing requirement. That was Monrovia. They require that the adjacent businesses be noticed if this is going to happen. Amplified music, you know, we toyed with the idea, do you allow amplified music? Do you not allow amplified music? Because, you know, if you had a 4-piece band and everybody's amplified, it could get pretty loud. Those are things to consider. Or is the noticing sufficient, and then let people work it out, be grown-ups? And
What,
you know.
the amplified music thing, I guess it can be minimal or it can get big. You know, I know we had a situation recently down our block again. And they had amplified music and it wasn't bad, but the police were called out twice. You know, and it didn't seem to be any louder than when other ones were playing non-amplified music. So I don't know. That's a tough call. I think you might know more about that, Jeff. I mean,
Well, it's just loud. I mean, that's the only thing, you know, if
It can get
it can
loud.
get loud. That's
Yeah.
just something you have to deal with.
yeah. And the day and time restrictions, don't we as have restrictions anyhow on that?
Yeah, I think basically, I mean, if you
Used to,
do it
right?
the same, if you look at, like, the code has something about construction, it's like not before 7 in the morning, not after 9 o'clock at night. But these events, the way the event code is written is that I believe it can go to 11 PM. I think that's what the code says. So you can do it, a special event can be done later.
Does that include the bazaar and like market, like kind of things like that outside on the curb kind of?
No, we'll need to come back at a late, well,
No, it would include that if they like, because those are also, there's a lot of things that businesses are doing and they're just not asking for any permission from anybody. And that's, yeah, that would be covered by this as well.
So that would be an event.
That would be an event. Yeah. Anything, if you're putting your stuff out, if you're putting stuff and you're creating a commercial business out in the public right of way, I mean, if you're a food vendor, you're a flower, everybody needs a permit to do that. That's just.
Yeah, because there are some people that are doing, they're
Yeah.
bringing in like other, which I'm not opposed. I'm just saying there
Right.
are things that are happening that they bring other vendors. And then they have their displays and everything outside their businesses. But then they are charging those people. However, I don't know if they're paying for this, so.
No, they haven't. They were talking about, and as far as I know,
You're great.
yes.
To see, okay.
Yeah. And then it's really the city circulates it to really the primary departments that are reviewing it are Public Works and the police department. And to some degree building, because if you're putting any tents and things up, sometimes those things require building permit. Obviously, police and Public Works are just for general safety in the public right of way.
I think it's a good idea to have the signatures from the neighboring businesses. And I think that unfortunately, I think you have to eliminate the amplification just because it could get crazy. The day and time restrictions, I don't know, that one's a difficult one. If they can go to 11 legally right now, you're saying?
I believe so, yeah, the code lets us approve a permit until 11 PM.
Yeah, because of the curfew, right?
That's just what the section of the code says. I don't know. I'm sure it's based on, after 11, things get out of hand or something.
Does it pertain to like during the week or on the weekends?
No, you can do it. Doesn't 7 days a week. There's no limitation on any days that I recall.
Because that would cover anybody who would have like an event. And then use like the right of way and like if they're bringing tents and things like that, then they would have to apply. Have the neighbors sign off on it and everything and then pay their license or permit to do it.
We're not
Right.
talking about the plaza, that's a separate policy.
Yeah, we're not, we are excluding areas like the plaza as well as the Mita Avenue areas. I think that's a separate discussion we have to have with the council about who gets to use it. Who do we, for example, those are more like facilities that are used by the public. Like I think the city, for example, limits who can rent out the band shell in the park. You just can't say, I want to have a concert in the park myself. We don't allow that. I think it's only the city itself that gives itself the ability to use the band shell. And likewise, I think our current policy on places like the plaza, the central part is either a bid event or a city event only. So we don't let, outside groups, businesses or nonprofits do that. But we're talking about really using portions of the sidewalk, the parklets, the public street itself. So everybody would.
That was my question.
What about space wise? This doesn't take into consideration space, but is there a limitation to how much of the sidewalk they can take up in that also?
No, not per se. No, it'll be, there are some in the code itself. It allows the city discretion to sort of protect general health, safety, welfare issues. So we want to make sure that, things are ADA accessible, that they're not blocking, let's say critical infrastructure like parking spaces, or if they are, that's taken into account, or, things like fire hydrants and, fire lanes and just those general safety issues.
I mean, unless you're a restaurant with a parklet, you have that extra space outside. I mean, they have kind of like an advantage here because if I wanted to have an event outdoors, it'd have to be on the sidewalk.
No, that's
unless
true.
It's in a public space, like you were talking about the Mita Avenue area or the plaza. So how do we get around that?
Well, I think that's sort of the issue here is that I think that because we have businesses who are having events anyway, so we're trying to, and they have a parklet, right? So they do have some advantage over like you in terms of having an additional space. But it doesn't mean that you couldn't do something to use a couple parking spaces or something like that. I don't think if you wanted to try to do that. So,
Or even as Don mentioned, you have the jeweler who has music
Yeah.
outside. So even though they don't have a parklet, they're still making use of their, that little sidewalk area where restaurants have dining tables and chairs. You still have that area. That's
And
on the other side of the red ribbon.
And there are other stores that are bringing out like tents outside of the stores. And then they're using the
Sidewalk area.
sidewalk and
Yeah.
kind of in a way like blocking because they're like both by their windows and then in front of it. So
That's why I asked the question about the sidewalk usage. I mean, we have to keep a certain area clear. Are they going to be held to the standard?
oh yeah, that's the reason for the permit. That's one of the things that we make sure is addressed. Absolutely.
All right, well, can we get a motion to
I'll
move forward?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve. I move forward with the recommendation.
Second.
So just so we have the recommendation being 24 events
24
as
events.
well as having adjacent businesses sign off on any permit in the village
No application.
and no amplified music.
Correct.
That works.
Perfect. So I'll conduct an oral roll call. We have a motion made by Board Member Snyder and seconded by Vice Chair Klingler. Board Member Jarvis,
I am going to vote no, with the amplification. So, I mean, an amplification could be just like a small little amplifier that somebody plugs their guitar into. I mean, we're omitting. I mean, the way it was stated, I'm going to vote no.
Board Member Snyder,
Yes.
Vice Chair Klinger,
Yes.
Chair Nolan,
Yes.
motion carries 3-1.
Okay, great. Now we're moving into the Business Improvement District Advisory Board fiscal year 22-23 financial report through June 30th. And the financial report through July 31st for this year. I invite Alicia to report on this, please.
Thank you. So this is a report that we typically see every month, and this is a little different in that you will see a snapshot in an Excel sheet for the previous fiscal year 23, as well as what we have thus far in fiscal year 24. So I will begin with the end of last fiscal year, which again is as of June 30th and does complete the entire fiscal year. Hasn't changed much since the last time the board met. Our revenues is relatively going to be the same. I know we have discussed assessments in the past, and as Valerie mentioned, we will be looking into that further, and I will have a better and more thorough update for you all next month on the 5th. But looking at what we have here today, we are at 70% of the budgeted revenue as it relates to assessments, which again is about $10,000 less than the previous fiscal year. Expenditures, again, relatively the same aside from the storage unit that the bid pays for monthly, and I believe landscaping as well. And the last line item that will look a little different than the last time that we met is going to be that Friday night twilight line item, which again, the bid did very well in terms of budgeting and getting low cost entertainment for the Fridays. That went up to about 62%. In total, the bid spent about 66% of its budget in terms of expenditures. So again, very healthy. And that will go ahead and reflect in this fiscal year. It'll roll over in the fund balance. So I'll go ahead and go over to fiscal year 24. Not much activity. We will see that's thus far the bid has brought in a little under $6,000 in revenue for assessments. In terms of expenditures, we have a miscellaneous line item of $361, which is going to be that storage unit. Please keep in mind that that amount does fluctuate. Typically, we do receive around this time of year a notice letting us know that the price increased. We have yet to receive that, but just keep that in mind. And then we're going to have the Friday night twilight expenditures, which you see $650. That is going to exclude 3 additional Friday nights, which I believe equates to about $650 I'm sorry, that's what we have as of today. The 3 events are going to be a total of $925. So in terms of Friday Night Twilight expenditures, the bid is looking at about $1,500. So pretty good. And then again, that amount that's left over, which is a little under $3,000, is going to be for the beginning of the summer next year, which is the end of fiscal year 24. So again, looking pretty good in terms of that. And as always, the bid is looking pretty healthy financially. So that does conclude my report on that. And this is a receive and file.
Any questions or anybody want to make a motion to receive and file?
I'll move to receive and file with the report.
Second.
Okay, so I will conduct an oral roll call vote. Board Member Jarvis,
Yes.
Board Member Snyder.
Aye.
Vice Chair Klingler,
Yes.
Chair Nolan.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
At this point, we move to the board staff closing comments. I invite all board members, if you have any comments to make at this point.
Happy birthday, Valerie. Again, thank you so much for everything that you do, and it's your birthday and you're still working. So thank you so much. for
Happy
everything.
to be here with you.
Uh-oh.
Thank you.
Kathy? Yeah.
I would just like to say the Friday Night Twilight, like I said, went fairly well, and something that we might want to consider. I mean, we have a little extra money and we have, money for the events, maybe doing music every Friday night.
That'd be awesome.
Because if it's a continuous thing, then people come to, understand that like every Friday, oh, we can go have dinner and go sit and listen to some music in the downtown. So it'll bring people here on a regular basis instead of, just trying to capture people during the summer when we're all very slow.
Yeah. Mhm. Matt,
No comments. Happy birthday.
Valerie, Jeff, Alicia, do you guys have anything else?
No,
All right. At this
thank you.
meeting is adjourned at 9:41.